Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming, and welcome to my review for the Android version of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. And this is available on the Google Play Store for $299 and 269 rupees in India. Now, I had never played the original game, I had never owned a PlayStation 1. So I had no nostalgia as such, and I was just curious because I had heard a lot about this game. Every time I looked online, all the game critics would praise this game, and if you looked at the top game lists, like the best games of all time or the greatest games ever made, this game would feature highly. And a lot of people also mentioned that a lot of modern day Metroidvanias are influenced and inspired by this game. So always wanted to play this. The other option I had was to emulate this, but I never seriously considered that. And this game came out, I think, early March last year, 2020, around the time season 3 of Castlevania appeared on Netflix. So I had picked it up a while back, but I hadn't played much of it because I was waiting to get hold of a couple of controllers for mobile. And I do have a couple of controllers. I have the Sn30 Pro 8-bit controller and the iPega 9167 Telescopic Controller. Now, first thing about the controls, it does have touch controls and it has full controller support. The game is definitely much better with the controller. On the touch screen, I was struggling. You can play it, but controller is definitely preferable in my opinion. The game runs very well. It is a direct port. It is still in the 4:3 aspect ratio, unfortunately. They put sort of green brick walls around the sides. It is fine, I don't mind that. It's not an issue for me personally. It runs smoothly on my Samsung Galaxy M30s phone, which is again a budget phone, not a high-end phone, and I got constant 60 FPS while playing the game, so it runs very well. As far as gameplay is concerned, if you haven't played the original game, it might take you a little time to get used to it. It took me about 20 minutes or so to fully feel comfortable with how the game played. There are some quirks of an older game. It is of course from 1997, so when you attack an enemy, you have to sort of stand at the perfect distance when you're hitting the enemy. If you go too close, you'll get hit. If you stay too far, you won't get a shot. If you do get hit, he has this whole sort of taking a damage and falling over animation, and you can't stop that. So it gets worse, and you get hit more and more. So those things do need a little bit of time to get used to. Jumping, etc., also feel about the same, like they're not as precise as they would be with modern games, but they're still fine and you'll get used to it eventually. Hopefully it won't take you too long, but yeah, it took me about 20-30 minutes, but it was fine after that. It is also quite a long game. I have played a few hours and I don't feel like I have done too much in terms of progress. I haven't finished the game, by the way, so my review is not about the story as such. It's more about the control and how it runs on phone and etc., and the controller support, etc. One thing that I do like a lot about this game is the music. I had heard a bit that the music was great, but the music is amazing in this game. The background music is awesome. So that is a big plus from me for that. And yeah, overall I would say if you're a fan of Metroidvanias and if you want to see where this thing sort of got started, I'm not sure if this was the first game that popularized this genre of games, but it must be one of the first. And it is definitely a great game, still holds up and it still works fine. Of course you have to give it some time because it's not a modern game. Something like Dead Cells, for example, would feel a lot more tight and the controls will feel more precise, but this is also really good. And yeah, I like it. I would recommend this. It's also very cheap. It's an offline game as well, and yeah, not much to complain about. Only thing, like I said, I did not like was the touch controls. They were okay, they were not great. I couldn't play it with the controls. Like moving around is fine, jumping around is fine, but when you're actually fighting enemies, it was impossible for me. Again, it might be just me, I'm too old for this sort of thing, but it was difficult with the touch for me. I have played other games with touch and they seem fine, but something like this where you have to be very tight and precise with your jumps, with your attacks, I feel controller is much better for this. So yeah, overall I think I've said what I wanted to say. I think this is definitely worth picking up. Really cheap game. If you played this game, if you have nostalgia, you'll like it. If you don't have that, you should still like it. if you like this sort of game, the platformer Metroidvania genre. So hopefully this review was useful for you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.